It was scary. When you're 23, you don't expect to hear the word stroke. And they were like, how did you become an athlete, in Leeds? And I was like, what? So my granddad was a boxer, definitely not my inspiration for boxing anyway.
Hello and welcome to Stronger Than You Think with me, Ashley Wilmot.
And me, Jodie Ounsley. Today our guest is a champion through and through.
Absolutely. And at the 2016 Rio Olympics, she became the first Briton in 32 years to win a gold medal in 2 sports. We cannot wait to have a chat with her today. Kadeena Cox joins us. Thank you so much for your time. How are you?
I'm good. I do have a slight concussion, but other than that, I'm doing well.
Yeah, not ideal. Thank you for being here. And obviously, like we said, if you need to stop at any time, please take a moment. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of how you've come to get a concussion?
It was a bit of a fluke accident. I was on the treadmill doing a run session and something I used to help de-weight me essentially broke and hit me in the head, which sounds really simple, but honestly, if you just saw it, it was like a bar flying at me at really high speed. So,
oh gosh, well hopefully you sort of rest up and get it right in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, that's the plan. It's quite nice to have to do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that is nice. Although you were it's hard because you are working towards World Championships at the moment, right?
Yeah, so I've got Worlds in 7 weeks and 1 day.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of nervy going into World Championships, having missed a bulk of training. I'm starting a new event, which is longer, so I kind of feel like I need the fitness. So yeah, a little bit scary, but fingers crossed I'll manage to get back to where I need to be.
And hopefully you're in safe hands anyway, aren't you? And there'll be a protocol of how to get back into training and stuff, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so the medical team are doing a really good job of managing it. I've started seeing a specialist just because it's taken me a little bit longer to recover. I've had some concussion in the past, unfortunately, which took a while to come back from as well. So we're just making sure we, cross all the T's and dot all the I's. Is that the way you say it?
So you're looking forward to this World Championships, hoping to get back in action as soon as possible after this concussion. But you just mentioned you're going to be tackling a new event.
Yeah.
So what is that? Can you tell us?
So basically, annoyingly, this is the one time I'm not here for equality, but they've decided that for my event, which is 500 metres, the men do the 1,000 metres, so the kilo, and they wanted to, make them equal, so we now have to do the kilo. So they've scrapped my 500 metres and, doubled my distance. So I'm normally here for, us being equal to men, but right now it's feeling like a very long way.
I mean, that's going to be very different, I'm guessing, training-wise. Like you said, with it being longer distance, how are you going to approach that? And are you feeling good about it, or is it all kind of new?
I mean, for the first 6 months, I told my coach he wasn't allowed to say the word kilo. And we only talk about it in laps at the moment. So currently I'm working on the first lap. In year 2, we'll work on the first 2 laps, and then the first 3. And in year 4, we'll just wing the 4th lap because I am a pure sprinter. So it feels quite long for me. I think a lap and a half into my 2-lap race, I'm normally tired. So yeah, the extra 2 laps is feeling very daunting. And yeah, it means I've spent the winter on the road doing a lot of miles, doing a lot of big rides, 3-hour, 4-hour rides, which is very out of my comfort zone. And yeah, I'm doing a lot more riding on the track. And I've got to ride in a different position as well because I've got to now transition from my sprint bars into skis, which means I'm kind of in a really tucked position, which is more aero, but it's more unstable, which is hard when you've got balance issues.
Yeah, gosh, you've got so much to think about.
Yeah.
And we will get into it a little bit more. But in one way, it's a positive because, men and women are doing the same distance and doing the same thing. But ultimately, you're like, oh, great, it's come at the time when I'm competing and you have to adapt your whole training schedule. Are you looking forward to a different challenge or not so much?
It's a hard one because I did say it'll be really good when it happens. I just hope I'm not competing when it happens. Because I just don't, it doesn't motivate me. It's just too far. It's not a sprint for me. And when I started in the very beginning, I thought the 500 meters wasn't a sprint. So this to me literally feels like a marathon. So yeah, I'm not so excited about it, but it is a challenge at the end of the day, and it's the event that I've got. So I've got to just kind of do what I've got to do. Like, I think I'll be good at it. I just won't enjoy it.
Yeah, I love the honesty as well, because you could have just sat there and be like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but like, no. But you've got to crack on and do it, and you do great, but fair play, like...
We're all about the real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want the honesty.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we want what people are really feeling, and it's really nice and refreshing when people come on here and share that, because, you know, it's not always easy. You guys put in so mumuch, well, you dedicate your whole lives to this, and then when someone else tells you, by the way, this is all going to change now, it's not ideal. But let's bring things back to you and your journey, and who inspired you to, I don't know, just even get into sport, because it's actually in your family, isn't it? Your grandfather was really athletic too.
Yeah.
So was he your main inspiration?
So my granddad was a boxer, definitely not my inspiration for boxing anyway. My granddad, like, I loved like his drive and like the training he did, but like actually watching him fight just scared me because I didn't like seeing him get hurt. But like he was like one of my number one fans, so like I absolutely loved that. In general, I was just a sporty person. Like, I started dance when I was 4, and then just did every sport. My inspiration in terms of athletics was probably a lady called Alison Felix, who's an American sprinter, and she was good at the 100, the 200, the 400. She is the absolute GOAT, and it's really hard to be like world light level across all three of those events. And that's kind of what I wanted to do, which I think I've done relatively successfully. So yeah, she was like my real inspiration, like, and she's done a lot for like women's sport, like changing things after she had a baby, just in terms of like the support that she lost. She's done like a lot kind of advocating for women, and like her faith is a really big part. So yeah, she's a real like key figure in like where I'm at today.
Am I right, you're from Leeds, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
So how was that sort of growing up in Leeds as well, in terms of like sporting clubs and things like that? Was it?
It was really good. Like, I think I spoke to someone recently, and they were like, "How did you become an athlete like in Leeds?" And I was like, "What?" They were just like, "Well, there's nothing going on like in the north," and I'm like, "No, but there actually is." Yeah. But I was quite lucky. We had quite a big athletics club that were really successful. I lived just like a stone's throw away from Northern School of Contemporary Dance, which is where I started my dance at, and like there was loads of like, you know, football clubs. We've got a local one just behind me, and like, yeah, there was a lot of support like from my school. Like, I played hockey at quite a high level as well, and I just had like, I was quite lucky. There was a lot of support, and it meant that I was able to kind of get funneled to where I eventually kind of shone.
Do you still dance?
I mean, I dance on TikTok. I'm not sure if it counts.
It definitely counts.
It does count. It does.
And your family, they owned a restaurant when you were growing up, and you worked in that. Am I right in saying?
I did. I'm not sure if it was work. It feels a little bit like child labour. Yeah, no, so my parents had a Caribbean restaurant. My mum's Jamaican, so yeah, we had a Jamaican restaurant. My nana had a Jamaican takeaway, and I'm one of 7 children,
Yeah.
so we all kind of worked in the restaurant growing up. And like I say, it was slave labour, you know.
Did you get pocket money?
Just about. We had to do everything though.
You must have got free meals or packs like that, did you?
I mean, we definitely got free food, like, but yeah, there was I feel like, I mean, as a child, it definitely felt like a lot of hard work for a lot of kids.
That's wild.
I feel like your family are very switched on. They're like, we're going to have this restaurant. We're going to have 7 kids. They will be all our employees.
Literally, it was an easy win for them. It saved a bit of money.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice, I guess, community as well. Like, are you close with your family? Have they been a big support throughout your career?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got 5 sisters, and we're all like I got 6 sisters actually, but the first 5 of us are like, there's like 7 years between us, so there was a lot of arguments. Yeah. But yeah, we do all get on a lot better now. Like Christmases, like Easter's, all really, really fun. And my family, I think most of them came out to Paris, with it being really close, which is really nice to have them there. My mum, my youngest brother and sister came out to Rio as well. So like my family all come like to competitions when they can. Not that they understand sport, not that any of them are sporty, but they will always come and support me.
Love that. So you're like the only kind of sporty one out of everyone.
Yeah, so my brother plays football, like he plays like five-a-side and whatnot, like most guys do. But other than that, like no one's really into sport.
When did you realise that you were talented and that this was a bit of a gift and you could really pursue your talent?
I always knew I was good at sport. Like I was probably 14 when I started athletics seriously. And that was just because I used to just run everywhere. Like in hockey, I was good because I could run and follow the ball. Like in football, like the same thing. Like in most sports, if you can run quickly, like you're really like good. So I kind of got away with doing a lot of sports because I was quick. So I'd done probably when I was like 14, I did my first international for athletics, and then did another one like in my like mid-teens, like 15, 16. So I'd done like a couple of like small internationals in kind of like, my mid-teens. And then it was kind of, later into my teens, early 20s where I was like, okay, like now we're like, high up in the country. Let's make this count.
When you were that age, big dreams, you're doing really, really well. What were your goals? What were you aiming for when you were at school?
I wanted to go to the Olympics, like every other kid. Like, really wanted to go to the Olympics. I was a 100 and 200 metre runner, predominantly the 200. And I really wanted to be a 200 metre runner at the Olympics. Everyone did say to me I would be better at the 400 metres, but again, it's that whole not wanting to go far thing.
You don't like the 400. I think I've read that.
I hate the 400, even though I'm very good at it now. It's annoying. But I was like, I'm going to refuse to be a 400 metre runner for as long as possible. So I was a 200 metre runner, and I really wanted to go to the Olympics. Commonwealth Games was like my first thing that I wanted to do, but still haven't done that. Crazy.
But your life changed at one point, and you did have a stroke. And what year was this? How old were you then?
2014. I was 23.
So 23 years old, you have a stroke. Your whole life changes. I mean, that's something that so many people, won't be able to relate to that young, because it's so unusual in young people. Can you talk us through a bit about that time of your life and what the symptoms were and how you managed to overcome that?
2014, I was doing my second degree in physiotherapy, actually studying stroke at the time. So there was a point I literally thought I was going crazy and like imagining things. So I didn't go to the hospital straight away. I went to a competition in Loughborough, and when I was driving back, I had this really, really bad headache. And I was driving, sounds really bad, spent a lot of time on the cat's eyes. And now I look back, I'm like, I should not have been driving. But there was a couple of us, and I was the designated driver. So driving back, got back, and I was like, maybe I'm just dehydrated. So we went for a Nando's, but even that, I was like, I can't really eat. I just felt off. And then I woke up the next morning, and I had dysarthria, which is speech disturbance. And then I had right-sided weakness. And I live literally across the road from the hospital, so I walked myself into the hospital. And actually the lady, when I first got there, she was like, oh, you might have Bell's palsy. Like the lady on the desk, she's like, oh, it might just be Bell's palsy, which is temporary. You'll be fine. So I was like, oh, okay. I'd spoke to my mum, and said oh, don't worry about coming. And she's listening to me speaking, and she's like, mate, you can barely speak. I'm coming. I was like, no, it's fine. The woman said it's just Bell's palsy. I'll be fine. And then I got taken back, and when they did my history, my uncle had a massive hemorrhagic stroke the year before. So they did the CT scan, which showed an infarct, which showed that I'd had the stroke, and then they did an MRI to show a more detailed version. By which point my mum had already sent my cousin, who lived in Manchester as well. So I was just like, why are you here? He's like, Mum sent me. I'm like, okay. It was scary. When you're 23, you don't expect to hear the word stroke. And it's one of those things. It was probably caused by my contraceptive pill, which I'd changed 5 weeks before, which it's a really rare symptom, really rare side effect of being on the contraceptive pill. Never expect it to happen to you. It's the one that you kind of just dismiss. But unfortunately, it happened to me.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I would have never even thought that was a thing.
Most people don't know. It is an uncommon side effect, but it is a side effect that you will see on the packet.
And is that what the doctor said to you then?
Yeah, so we did like all the testing, like to see like whether it was to do with my heart and all that stuff, and that was kind of the last thing that we put down to.
It's a bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And then obviously in that situation, it's a lot of information to take in. Like, where do you even go from there? Like the recovering sort of next steps.
Actually, the next day I got an email from
UK Sport, was it?
UK Sport, yeah. So I'm literally sat like in my hostel bed, get this email, and I'd been trying to do a talent transfer into skeleton.
Which is wild, by the way. Skeleton is crazy.
It's like, honestly, I got to do it eventually when I did the jump, and it is the funnest thing ever.
Good.
But yeah, so I was trying to transfer into that, and they'd like said I'd gotten on to like the next stage. So I was like, okay, like I've got a goal. Like I think as athletes, like you become very goal driven. So I was like, oh, okay, like this is like my target. So I said to the physio, like, what do you think we can do this? Like I think I had like 8 weeks or something, and she was like, I don't know, but we can try. So yeah, I think they gave me an extra few weeks. So I think it was like 11 weeks I eventually had. But I managed to get back and get all the way to the 4th stage without them realising that there was something wrong. And then when I had to do the medical, they found out I'd had a stroke, and they didn't want me to go down the ice at that point. So yeah, I had to pull out, which was sad.
But I guess that's why they do a medical, isn't it? Just to make sure that you're not putting yourself at risk. But
I think I could have been really good, just saying.
It must be so frustrating when you've basically got through all the rounds, you've shown that you're good enough, and then something like that, it's just like bites you.
Yeah, I literally still had like some of the highest numbers that they'd seen. I mean, it was only 30-metre sprints and stuff, so I was, at that point I could get away with that. Anything longer, like I still had some effects of the stroke, but yeah, I was still doing really well at that point, which was frustrating, especially as a young 23-year-old. You're thinking like, oh, why is this happening to me now?
Where did you go from there, kind of like, you know, in that headspace, and what was sort of your next sort of thing?
I think because I was probably like 80-85% recovered at that point. And I think as much as it was frustrating, like that had kind of given me the motivation to get to that point. So I was able to get back into athletics and like be back training with my group. So actually it was like, okay, it just seems like I've had like an injured summer, as opposed to like totally like, you know, being taken out by the stroke. So it was actually quite a nice segue to get back into training for the winter, and feel like I was, just taking the summer out and I was getting back to being my normal self in the winter.
Then obviously you have another challenge that you have to face, which is a little bit more permanent than the stroke, obviously. You were diagnosed with MS.
Yeah.
How did that come around? Were there symptoms, and when did you start to think, maybe I need to speak to someone about what you were going through?
It was probably the end of the summer break, so it was in September. I literally started with just burning and tingling in my right arm, and over the course of a few days it kind of got worse and worse. I remember there was one day, so I don't know if you know Emily Campbell, who's the weightlifter. So we went to uni together, and we were like on the track one day, and I was just like flinging my arm around, and I was like, I actually can't feel this arm. And she was like, that's not normal, Cads. And I was just like, no, it's fine, it'll just be post-stroke symptoms. And she's like looking at me like I was crazy, and I was like, no, but it's fine. Like, and I totally hadn't thought anything of it. And then a couple of days later I kind of went from that kind of like numbness to like burning and tingling throughout this whole arm, and then it spread throughout kind of my right side. And my mum was like, okay, like I'm not letting you go back to uni without having this checked out, which was a Thursday, and I was going back to uni on the Saturday. So she said, on the Thursday morning I'm taking you to hospital, and I basically woke up that Thursday morning and had burning and tingling from my neck downwards. Didn't have any coordinated movement, so I had dystonia, which is essentially spasms and uncoordinated movement, and we called the ambulance at that point, and then I was taken to the hospital. Annoyingly, I was actually asked, like, when the ambulance came, they were like, so what do you want us to do? I was like, didn't just call an ambulance just for you to like come and say hey. And then when I went into the hospital, they also were going to put it down to post-stroke symptoms, and luckily the guy decided to phone through to another hospital, and the person he spoke to happened to be an MS specialist consultant. So I just kind of looked out, and I got diagnosed. I got moved across hospitals and then was diagnosed within like 2 days.
When they said that to you, did you even know what MS was at the time?
So I had some understanding of it. So again, just being a physio student, I'd done some work with a lady who had MS prior to starting my degree, when I was doing like some kind of experience work, but she had progressive MS, which is the really severe one, which, thinking about that, when they said MS, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be like basically like ending my life. Other than that, I kind of had like a vague understanding, but like, yeah, in my head, like she was in a wheelchair, like she had a catheter, like she basically like couldn't do most of her personal care, so I was there as an assistant helping her with the personal care. So I essentially thought that's what my life was going to be, and I was only 23, so it was quite scary.
Yeah.
So much to process, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, for obviously people who don't know much about MS, I'm guessing it's obviously different sort of levels, and like how does it sort of affect you individually? I'm guessing it's different for everyone.
Yeah, so it's called a snowflake condition because it can affect everyone very differently because of the nature of what it is. So it's an autoimmune condition that attacks your brain and spinal cord. So you have what's called myelin around your nerves, which is a protective layer. And essentially when you've got MS, it attacks that layer. So then things like the signals don't transmit properly. But because it attacks the brain and spinal cord, you can have effects like anywhere. So there's like some common ones that you get. So sensory issues, which is obviously what I got initially. Things like muscle spasms, muscle weakness, vision issues is a really common one that people get in the beginning. That's one of the first symptoms for a lot of people. Then you can have bladder and bowel issues. There's like a lot of symptoms you can get, but like they're like the common ones. But yeah, it can be very different for everyone. So for me, I've got the most common version, which I think 8% of people have, which is relapsing remitting. So you'll have a relapse where your myelin sheath's been attacked, and then that'll kind of heal and you'll end up with a scar or a plaque. And then you'll have what's called remission until you have your next relapse, which is what I've got. I'm just unfortunate. I get stuck with a lot of the side effects from my relapses, which most people with relapsing remitting don't get. And then you've got progressive and secondary progressive, which are the more severe versions. But it's very different even within the relapsing remitting. So there's twins that are on the Olympic team for athletics, Lena and Lavia, who both have MS as well, but obviously can compete as Olympians because they have relapses, and then they'll have periods of remission where they are relatively fine. They'll probably still suffer with things like they might have like fatigue or like some kind of sensory issues, but they don't have any major issues for day-to-day life. Whereas someone like me or Ali Smith, who are Paralympians, we have day-to-day struggles. So it varies, like there's a massive spectrum.
And would you mind sharing what your day-to-day struggles are?
I have a lot of issues with muscle spasms, sensory issues, so I have constant pins and needles.
Is that all over?
Yeah, so I had a lesion. So the lesion what I was diagnosed with was on C3, I think, C2, C3, which is like quite high up spinal. So basically everything below that level has pins and needles. It's worse in my extremities, so in my hands and in my feet. So when I'm walking, do you know when you've got like a dead leg and like you basically just have like that pins and needles sensation when you touch the ground? Yeah. That's like my constant sensation. Yeah. So that's all I feel. So I have like my feet are essentially numb apart from like the pins and needles that I feel when like they're pressed. So that's like the feedback I get. I suffer with, because I've got a lot of proprioceptive issues because of the sensation, I struggle with my balance and my walking. I have dystonia, so uncontrolled movements. Fatigue is a massive one for a lot of people. I've got chronic fatigue symptoms, and I get double vision sometimes. The list goes on, but half the time I forget because you just get so used to dealing with it. It just becomes the norm.
Gosh, I mean, that's a lot in day-to-day life, never mind when you're throwing training into the mix. How do you balance all that and manage that?
It's tricky. Yeah. So I spend a lot of time napping, just because fatigue just gets the better of me. And like when you're pushing your body in training, you don't have very much energy left for anything else. So I spend, I don't have the best social life. So I essentially train and then come home and chill. I realised the other day that outside of training, I'm actually quite unfit, like in general. Like I don't have like the most I don't do very much. Like I don't walk very much. I like was averaging like 4,000 steps a day, which isn't great, I've realised. But when you like struggle for energy, so we do what's called the spoon theory. Essentially, you've got 10 spoons a day, and like each like activity will like use spoons. So like, you know, some days like you'll have a shower and that takes two spoons. Like washing the dishes might take, you know, 1 spoon. Like walking the dog will take like 3 spoons, and I've only got 10 spoons in the day, and I can borrow spoons from tomorrow, but that means I've only got, you know, 8 or so spoons for the next day. So you're kind of just eating into that energy. Like 2 days ago, I was getting ready, got a shower, got ready. I was going to go out for a food shop, and after I'd like got ready, I was like, I'm actually too tired to do anything now, so I just went back to bed. And that can just be like a daily thing for me.
At least you know the signs of your own body. I guess it's taken a little while to actually understand what you're going through, but you can listen to your body. I think that's really, really important for everyone, to be honest. When you did get the diagnosis at the early age of 23, you immediately threw yourself into a fundraiser though, didn't you? You kind of were so positive about it, at least from what I've read about it, you just kind of took it in your stride and just got on with it. But so what were the next few months like? And then also, how did you then re-evaluate your goals and what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I started the fundraiser literally the next day. I was like, I don't care if I'm going to be an Olympian or a Paralympian, but I will, you know, get back to doing something, because sport has always been such a big part of my life. And I knew having goals was what's going to like allow me to like get through. So I started the fundraiser. But I actually ended up being kind of housebound for like 2 months. I had tried to go back to uni, which epically failed. I think I spent like, maybe it's like half an hour in one lecture, and then walked out crying because I was just in way too much pain, like, and I just couldn't focus. And my lecturer followed me out, and then they had a bit of an intervention with like 3 of the lecturers, and they were like, we're calling your mum, and I got sent home. I kind of set myself back. I ended up with an infection, and when you've got like infections, it kind of can make your symptoms worse. So I basically ended up stuck in the house for like 2 months, unable to kind of do very much. Like going up and down the stairs was like painful. So I just kind of went from like my room to the living room, and that was kind of all I did. And yeah, I decided I was going to do the fundraiser, so I sat like, you know, online trying to like churn up like the people to like get behind me. And I was like, yeah, getting people were doing like different like raffles and stuff. So I was just like, I sat on my laptop all the time, but it kept me like, you know, thinking like, yeah, like eventually I'm going to come out the other side of this. And then on the 4th of January, I did my very first race. So I think I was officially diagnosed on like the 19th of September. And then, yeah, I was in the house until kind of mid-November. And yeah, I decided I was going to do a race just for a benchmark. So I'd done a little bit of training, but I spent a lot of time on the floor at that point. But I was like, I'm just going to do this race. Like, it could be absolutely horrendous, but I need to do something, like, so I know where I'm at. So I've got like a line drawn in the sand. And it was at that point I kind of realised like I'm definitely not going to be able to get back to being an able-bodied athlete. Things weren't improving as I would have hoped, but such is life.
There's a lot to unpack there. I feel like when you're sat at home, when you're so used to being active and then you're just in 4 walls, I guess you do have your laptop, you've given yourself another focus, but mentally, how difficult was that? Because your life just totally changed.
It was crazy, like going from like doing like 6 days a week training, like 10 sessions a week, to just being at an absolute standstill. For the first few weeks I spent all my time in bed because I couldn't get down the stairs, and my mum just fed me. Definitely say, especially like Caribbean families, they're like absolute feeders, and my mum was I feel like I was having 3-course meals at every meal. And they were like, oh, you need to eat with your medication. So mum felt like she needed to give me like a full on like meal every time. But yeah, I just was like sat at home, just kind of contemplating how I'd gotten to that point, because I'd never really been ill. Like I wasn't, you know, someone that, you know, got colds all the time or like got like any form of illness. Like I was quite like a well person in general. So it was very bizarre, like, and I obviously wasn't like studying either. Like I wasn't going back to uni. Like unfortunately at that point there wasn't like like these days you can do everything online, like, you know, you can go to your lectures online, which obviously 10 years ago wasn't such a thing. So I was just sat at home, and that's why having the talent backer was quite helpful. But I was in a dark place for large portions of it, predominantly because of the amount of pain I was in. Like, it just kind of, like, those days that I would just black out from the amount of pain that I was in until they got my medication managed. So it was pretty rough, like, for the first few months. But yeah, having the kind of fundraiser just gave me something to like focus on. And I was like, okay, like, I will get back to running. Didn't ever think I'd be a cyclist though.
Yeah, we should get onto that.
I know, it's like, it's mental, because as you're speaking, obviously going through that such rough patch, and, you know, mentally, physically, how then did you sort of become involved in like parasport? How did you even get to that starting stage?
And in some ways, I actually don't feel like I dealt with my diagnosis at the time, which kind of shot me in the foot further down the line. But I kind of was just able to throw myself into like getting back into sport. So the lady that I was working with, trying to transfer into skeleton, put me in contact with her counterpart in the Paralympic world. And they suggested track cycling, which is obviously what I do, or canoeing. I'm not really a water kind of person. My ability to swim is not great. I don't like getting my hair wet. So that one went out the window pretty quickly. I was on the scholarship program at my university, and a girl that I knew, she was a Paralympic swimmer who was trying to transfer into cycling. So I'd been speaking to her a bit as well, and she'd give me a contact directly at cycling. Because I had kind of actually ummed and ahed about the cycling thing when the lady said it to me, because I was like, cycling, like what even is track cycling? Like, it was so like off my radar. And then my friend kind of said like, oh, you know, there's this like cycling thing that I'm doing, etc., etc. And I'd just been training on a watt bike at that point because I couldn't run without falling over. So a watt bike was kind of, you know, what I was doing, and I was putting out some decent powers. So I was like, okay, like maybe I will like give this a shot. I think I started doing some stuff with British cycling, like maybe in like the February, because I got my classification for both of them within. So I got my classification for athletics in the March, and I think for cycling in the June. So yeah, I was pretty quickly
That's
back
insane.
into things.
I know. What year was it again that you were diagnosed?
I was diagnosed in 2014.
Right, yeah, so 2014 as well was the same year. Didn't you have to make a decision between cycling and athletics?
That was 2015.
2015. So you just started cycling, you're really good at it, and now they're asking you to make a decision between the sport that you've grown up doing and this new sport that you're really good at. So how difficult was that, and how did you make that decision?
So while I'd been doing athletics, so obviously athletics, first love, like I was obviously going to get back into that. But because I was struggling with the running, like I was doing more cycling. And when I was like doing stuff with British cycling, I mean, I didn't owe them anything. Like, so I was like, I will tell you as much as I need to tell you. The coach was like saying, oh, like, you know, are you still running? I was like, yeah, I'm doing like bits and pieces. And then obviously like I'm training with my coach in athletics, and the head of athletics kind of, you know, saying, oh, you know, what you're up to. And I just kind of gave them enough information essentially. But I was then selected for the World Championships in, I think it was August or September. I was selected for that because that was in October. And when I was selected, obviously it then goes up like on socials.
So you couldn't really hide that.
Yeah, and then like my cycling coach was like, I didn't realise you was doing so much athletics. I was like, well, I told you I was doing it. You just took what you wanted out of that. Someone said, you can't be elite in 2 different sports at the same time. So essentially they were like, you need to make a decision between whether you're on the athletics program or the cycling program. And for me, actually, I'd struggled quite a lot with athletics, just having been in athletics prior and knowing my times and knowing like how good I was and what like I could do, comparing myself to that version of Kadeena, which they do say you're supposed to mourn like the version pre-diagnosis because that person doesn't exist anymore. But I really struggled with just like comparing myself essentially, and being like, well, I know I'm ranked higher in the world, but I'm also going considerably slower. And that mentally was a bit of like I couldn't quite get my head around that. So I was like, all I really wanted to ever do was get my GB kit. And and go to a major championship. So if I can kind of tick that off, like, I'll be content. So then I'll go to cycling, and like, it's a kind of a clean state, like, you know, it's a new phase of my life, like maybe we'll just go to this. And then I went to the athletics world champs, and absolutely loved it. And
really
basically went back on my word. Yeah, I mean, I guess doing really well probably made me love it even more. I was going to say, if I hadn't have done well, I probably would have still wanted to stay, but that's probably a lie. I think winning
like you
things.
get the taste for it, don't you? When you're winning and when you're getting medals and doing as well as you did. I mean, it just makes you want to continue both.
Yeah, I think I still felt like I then had unfinished business in athletics, even though like I thought that was me like kind of ticking that off. I felt like there was more I could give. But with cycling, like, it was just like there was so many like opportunities. Like, it was a clean slate. Like, we didn't know how much I could do. I mean, I thought I could be really good, but I think I could be really good at most things. Like, I genuinely think I'm really good at tennis in my head. And if you ever see me play, like, it's terrible. But in my head, I was like, yeah, I can really good at this cycling thing, which actually turned out I was, so yeah.
Love that. And obviously, with it being a new challenge, was it the case of like you started it and you was like, oh, I'm not too sure, and you sort of grew to love it as you went on? Or was it like you did it and it was like, I'm actually really liking this?
In the beginning, I mean, firstly, I was like, this is too far. Like, 500 meters is a long way. Like, I'm a 100-meter runner. Like, why have you got me running like 5 times that? Riding like the skinny wheels, and like, I'm scared of heights. Like, you know, riding on the track, like, it was all quite daunting. And like, yeah, it was fun in some ways, and I really liked the speed. It's kind of the reason why I liked skeleton, like, because yeah, in the skeleton you can go pretty quick, and I think just that need for speed is why I liked cycling. But it still wasn't athletics, and never has been athletics. Like, it never will be. Like, as much as I have a love for cycling, it's not something I love.
But you went on to break a world record and become world champion with the cycling.
Yeah.
That was your first big competition with it.
Yeah.
As you do.
So you know that you're pretty good at this. So so you're obviously going into cycling, and then you're doing really well with your athletics. So who are you then speaking to about potentially doing both sports? Because that's where Kadeena 2 Sports Cox was born, right?
Yeah. So after the Athletics World Championships, I sent a massive email to heads of everything. I don't know how many people were CC'd, but I'm like, I'm just going to add everyone. And then, like, I've said it to everyone, you all know, and then you can't say, oh, well, you've been saying this and that. And basically just asked, like, if I could do both sports, because I felt like I was like, I've been doing it all year, like, and none of you have known, like, and I've been relatively good at it, like, can I do both? And I had a competition 2 weeks after getting back from the Athletics World Champs. I had a competition which was, it was a category 1 race, and yeah, I was meant to be doing my first cycling like race there, and I did the race, and I actually clipped out in like the first rev, so like pulled my foot out my pedal, and I was like, oh no, like I've totally messed this like opportunity up. And like luckily, because it was like just a category 1 rather than a major championships, and it was at home as well, so it was in Manchester. They just got me some straps to like clip my feet in with and strap me in and let me go again, and I did a world lead at that point. It couldn't be a world record because there wasn't like there has to be like a certain level of like staff there and like drug testers.
Oh, right, okay.
So it was a world lead, and I remember my coach just coming up to me, and he had this text message from a lady from UK Sport, and it just said she can do what she wants. And that is where Kadeena 2 Sports Cox was born.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And you absolutely smashed it, because it just all happens in quite quick succession. I think it's really important to realise that, from your diagnosis to when you're trying out another sport, and then 2016, it's the Rio Paralympics. So when did that become on your radar?
Literally from the very beginning, I was like, I'm going to the Rio Games. The only hard thing was I knew I had to get classified, and getting classified, they don't necessarily want to classify you straight away because you're supposed to be stable for 2 years. So I was like, well, TikTok, like,
I don't have 2 years.
We ain't got 2 years of this. But yeah, I decided I was going to do both sports. kind of in that November, I guess, after I'd done the cycling race. So yeah, we had less than a year. Like, I took 18 months to kind of go from being an absolute novice cyclist to Paralympic champion.
That's just, sorry,
So
that's
impressive.
just wild, like, just to grasp that. I mean, like, just even from an experience point of view, how did that feel when you actually got to that Paralympics and knowing what you've been through? Surely that must have just felt a bit surreal.
Because I'd been like, so like just focused on little goals, like each goal was like, you know, just ticking off like another box. I hadn't really thought about kind of what I'd done until like I was stood on that podium, like, and that I honestly cried like such a big baby when I got that first gold medal, like. But I think like it just that was the point at which I was like, geez, like I've just achieved this in like a very short window of time. But it was, I still felt like an absolute novice in cycling. Like, I literally had no idea what I was doing half the time. Like, I was such a bad cyclist at that point. And I hadn't gone my full race distance very many times. Because, yeah, we just didn't have time to do all that training. So we focused on the important bits of the race.
But you still got a gold in the cycling as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you walked away from that Olympics with 2 golds, a silver and a bronze. I mean, that's not bad, is it, for your Olympic debut? And after all that you've been through, it just shows the kind of person that you are. You're not going to let anything define you, and you're always going to chase your dreams. So what did you learn about yourself? And in that moment when you're on the podium and you're enjoying it and you're taking it all in, were your biggest takeaways, do you think, from that moment in your life?
That's just to never, and I can't say to never give up on myself, because I don't think I did at any point, but it was to, like, just to remember to not let anyone else try to tell you that you can't achieve something. Because there was many times, like, honestly, if I told you how many times in that last year that I was told, like, no, and that, I mean, I shouldn't have been in the relay team, which we got the silver in, until literally, like, the night before was when I was, like, added to the team. So there was so many, like, things, like, setbacks. Like, my classifications changed, like, so I was moved from one classification to a higher classification in both sports. So essentially went down in the rankings. So yeah, so much like happened. But like, yeah, just always having faith in myself. And just, yeah, not allowing anyone else to tell you that you can't do something. Like, because I think, yeah, as long as you like believe in yourself and think you can really achieve it, like, and you put everything into it, like, you will get there or get pretty close.
So how do all of those experiences compare? You know, so after Rio, what were your next steps then? How were you then refocusing? Did you take any time away from the sport? And how difficult then is it to manage with having MS as well?
Yeah, so I mean, Rio is still my most successful games in terms of medals, but I think the others have been successful in other ways, and just like having to bounce back, because I have been pretty injury prone throughout the years, more so on my right side, which is my most affected side. A year out from Paris, I had a pretty big relapse, so it's been like a bit of a battle, I guess, like the last few years, like, and I guess like going into Rio, I don't want to say I was a no one, because you were always a someone, but like in terms of the sport, like in the sporting world, I was a no one. So going in with like no pressure, no noise, like it's so much easier. Like you can kind of just slip in under the radar. But yeah, like then you know make history as I did, and then there's this expectation. And don't get me wrong, like a lot of times I've managed to kind of step up and achieve what I needed to. Like I've managed to defend titles across both the sports on numerous occasions, and in all fairness, like when I was going into Paris with the injury, everyone was like, oh, like you'll be fine, Kads, like you do it every time, like you'll get another gold, and being told that is actually a lot of pressure, like everyone expecting you to always go and get a gold medal, because it's what you tend to do, that's so much pressure in itself. And when your body's failing you, that's also really hard, like, because I can do the training, but I can't predict when my relapse is going to happen. I can't change how my body's going to react in a certain situation. So I did the Cycling World Championships in 2023, and I'd just come back from hip surgery. So getting a gold medal there was like amazing. But then I had a massive relapse off the back of that, which wiped out my right side again. But we were a year out from the games, and in hindsight, I probably would have taken more time out to recover and then had a better run into Paris. But because I was like, no, Paris is like on the horizon, I kept trying to get back too quickly, which then meant I got like, 4 weeks of training, and then I could have an injury, 5 weeks of training. So I had got no consistency throughout the whole of 23, 24, which then meant when I got to Paris in a bad place. And then on the day, my MS decided it didn't want to play ball. So it's hard, when you're fighting a battle with your body while also trying to compete at the highest level, with the expectation that you've got to compete at the highest level as well. Like it poses quite a lot of challenges, but it's a challenge I like. It makes life exciting, while also being quite frustrating, but I wouldn't change it. I took a good while off after Paris. I say a good while off. I went to Bali for 6 weeks, I think. I kept extending my trip. My mum was like, you need to come home now. But I was like, I need a break. And then I did get back into training quite quickly, but I didn't get back into training for anything. Like, I was just enjoying training. So I was just like doing the training I enjoyed rather than being back to being like a full-time athlete. Because I just needed to figure out what I wanted and what my next steps were. Like, I'm getting older. And also mentally, it just was so draining. Like, getting to Paris, I was like, I need to know what I want to do. So I didn't do any athletics, and I rode my bike on the road in the rain, which is so not me. Like, normally I wouldn't do that, but yeah, I was just like, I just need to find the love for what I do again. And then I started back athletics again, because I realized that I'm also really rubbish when I only do one sport. Like, my coach realised it as well. He was like, actually, you're not going that well on the bike either. Like, he spent all this time saying that you're constantly injured because of athletics. Athletics does this. Like, I don't want you doing athletics. And it's taken him, so it's probably like a month or two, he said to me, he was like, yeah, I'm just going to put it, so we have like a quarterly review, and he's like, I'm just letting you know, I put it in your review that I'm going to let you do athletics because I've decided you actually go better. And I was like, wow. I mean, it's only taken like 11 years, but you're finally on the same page as me.
It's funny, isn't it, how they complement each other? Like, naturally, It's not unbelievable that is the case.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't technically, but yeah.
In terms of Paris, with what happened, can you give anyone who maybe didn't see what happened, can you give us context of your experience and just how challenging that was for you? Because you've, enjoyed so much success, and you've got so much pressure that you probably put on your own shoulders to try and, continue at this level that that you're capable of. But yeah, what was your experience in Paris like?
So we breezed over that for a reason. No. So, like I say, getting to Paris was a challenge. And then in true Kadeena fashion, I tore my calf 6.5 weeks out. Literally in my last session before my last qualification race, 20 metres before the line in my last rep, my calf goes, and I knew it was bad. But when you're trying to convince yourself that it's not. And it was the same calf tear I'd done in December, which took me 11.5 weeks to recover from. And we had 6.5 weeks. So yeah, I was devastated because, I was just like, have I just like now messed up both sports trying to, qualify for 2 sports? And yeah, somehow I managed to, I think I literally was like, just before we went to Paris, I was still in an ugly grey boot. I did kitting out with my boot on. But I managed to get there, but just not in the best place mentally or physically. When we got to, so we weren't actually staying in the village, we were staying in a hotel because cycling was a little bit further out. And when we got to the village, or our hotel, I literally cried every day. I remember the first time I walked into the velodrome, I just burst into tears, just turned around and walked away. And it was just rough. I really struggled with my eating disorder, just because there was just one too many things going on. so it was no surprise that it didn't go to plan on race day. It was surprising that it, like the first round went well, because I just didn't think I had the speed in my legs, just because I hadn't done any consistent training. But to put out the time that I did, I was like, oh, okay, like maybe I'm in a decent place. And then from first round to second round, I think, so I'd done like my warm up, and when I was doing my warm up, I'd lost like 400 watts of power. So say I do like 1200 watts, like on like my peak power, I dropped down to 800 watts, which is obviously a significant difference. And you're talking like, yeah, like a third of like what I can produce. And that was predominantly because my right side just goes like super weak, like after having done big exertion. And I said to my coach, I was like, I feel like I need to change my gear. Like, I think my gear's too big. And he was like, no, you'll be fine. Like, you just like didn't go straight on that one. Like, you'll be fine when you get on the start line. And I think once you're mentally talking yourself out, something like that, it's just never going to go well. So yeah, I got out the gate, wobbled, like I was just going like in the wrong direction, tried to like overcorrect, I guess, to get back onto the track, and just didn't have the balance on my right side to stay up, and went down, and then cried like a baby in front of the whole nation, which wasn't my best moment, I won't lie. But like that was just the raw emotions. Like I was devastated. Like the year and like the fact that I managed to get on the starting line, like how hard it was. Yeah, it was just pure devastation. Like it was hard.
Yeah, and you're only human.
I know.
You know, you say it's not your best moment, but ultimately you had everyone like there with you in that moment, wanting you to do well, and it's so sad when that does happen. Yeah. But it's just part of your journey, and it's just going to make you hopefully stronger.
It's another chapter in the book.
Yeah,
this is what I concluded. Yeah.
So since then, since Paris, how has life been? You obviously went to Bali. Did you find yourself?
Do you know what? Did I find myself? So there was one of the girls that I met out there, and she was like, I feel like I was, going to go through like this really healing process, and all the places that I thought I'd go to, they're just like Instagram spots. And like it is basically like just an Instagrammable place, but it was beautiful. I really enjoyed being out there, like the people, like I was by myself, traveling around, really struggling with my MS again. It's not the most accessible place, so like, but I really enjoyed that. For some reason it was like a different type of struggle, and it was a struggle that wasn't going to affect my goals essentially. Like I was like, I'm battling with my MS here, but it's not going to affect anything, which was quite a nice feeling. And yeah, I just really just enjoyed just the freedom. Like I learned to snorkel out there, I learned to scuba dive out there, which is really cool. I'm like scared of a lot. So I was like being at the bottom of like the sea, like with like sharks and stuff, was like quite fun. And like just like learning to do like new things. Learned to surf as well. I mean,
she really did find herself.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to use that word loosely. Being actually able to surf is probably not quite what I was doing, but I could get up on the board. It was quite nice. And then I was back for a bit. Then I went to Costa Rica again, just like doing like similar things, like loving surfing. Like I've become like a proper like surf like kind of person. So I literally just been enjoying like a lot of travel. Like literally just come back from St. Lucia, which was a working holiday, but I really don't think being away for 20 days and doing 10 hours of work like counts as a working holiday.
I could do with a few of those, to be honest.
I'm going to call it a working holiday, but yeah, like I've just enjoyed, like I love travel, so just being able to enjoy travel, just have a little bit more freedom, like without like the intense pressures of thinking about performance. It's been quite nice, but it feels like I'm back to reality now.
It's nice that you get a bit of time to relax. I feel like as an athlete, you've got to dedicate so much of your life to it every single day. If you're not training, you're still thinking about nutrition. It takes over so much of your life. So just to be able to let your hair down and go and just take a step back must have been so nice, not just for your physical health, but also mentally, just to switch off a bit. Do you feel like refreshed?
Yeah, and I think, so the nice thing about Bali was I didn't come across many Brits. Like there was obviously a lot of Aussies. I met like quite a lot of Canadians and Americans, but not many Brits. And I just introduced myself as Kadeena the physio. Like, so like just like no one knowing who I was or what I did was quite nice. It was like when I'd like the odd person I'd like, add me on Instagram and they're like, excuse me. I'm just like, yeah, about that. But it was just really nice just being able to just, just enjoy living a life where I didn't feel like I was, this like athlete that had to live up to expectations. So that just like, it just felt like I was a very different version of what I'd been for the last 10 years, which is quite nice and quite refreshing and kind of just, sets your mind in a different place, ready to kind of take on the next 3.5 years or however many days it is at this point. It'll come round very quickly.
Right. So what is next then? Is
LA 28?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've got unfinished business. I'm actually gutted that my event has changed more so because I feel like I ended my event on a crash. I mean, granted, I did get the medal after, but it feels like my actual solo Paralympic career in that event didn't end very well. But I feel like I now need to go out to LA and kind of do what I do best, and just show up and show out. That's what I'm gonna say. But I think LA is gonna be amazing. Americans are like so OTT, and I feel like the games is just going to be like absolutely bonkers and brilliantly bonkers.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, and it is going to be a good one, LA. You just know it, don't you? The buzz and everything. So that's exciting.
That'll be your 4th as well.
I know, I'm getting old at this point. To be fair, I did think I'd be sat here at this point in my life, probably married and pregnant, in this year, and debating whether coming back post motherhood was the thing. But that hasn't happened, so we're just going to go for more medals.
You never know what's going to happen in life.
This is also true. However, for now, I'm just having little medal babies. I'm also getting a new puppy, so I guess that counts as another child.
I'm having medal babies.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
I love that. I've never heard anyone say that. Yeah. I mean, I don't talk to many people with medals, to be fair. I love that. That feels like an amazing goal for you. As we touched on before, the next couple of months are going to be busy. You got the World Championships that you're building towards, 7 weeks away. So how many different little goals have you got in the road to LA 28?
So as I briefly mentioned at the beginning of this, actually, I've never done a Commonwealth Games. So 2018, I was selected and then got injured. I had to pull out 2 weeks before, and then I sat at home doing my dissertation rather than being in the Gold Coast, which is devastating. So
it's a tough one.
I think missing out on being in the sun was the hardest bit. 2022, I had Achilles injuries, which took me out. So I ended up doing some stadium hosting instead. Next year feels like the year that I'm actually going to get there. So 2026, hopefully I will be in Glasgow. They've now just put in cycling for the Paralympics. Yes. So they've got cycling and they still have athletics. So I would love to do the double there. I feel like I'm coming back as Kadeena 2 Sports for 2026.
It's meant to be.
That is the plan. And then, I'm hoping to... I've not made an athletics world championships since 2019. There was a few skipped just because of COVID. My last, apart from doing Tokyo, my last world championships was in 2019, which feels like a very, very long time ago. So I'm hoping to make I think it's Europeans next year for athletics. And then, just keep hitting all the world championships up until LA. But we never know. There might be a little bundle of joy in the middle of there, so Lord knows what's going to happen.
Wow. I'm excited to witness your journey. We'll be following along on socials and seeing it all unfold, and hopefully we'll be at the Commonwealth Games and the Paralympics and whatever comes your way. It's so nice to know that you've got so much to look forward to in the next couple of years, and I'm sure everyone's excited to see where your journey takes you. And finally, for anyone who may be going through their own difficulties, getting a different diagnosis, no matter what age you are, it can happen at any time in your life. What advice would you give them that maybe you wish you'd had at the time that you were going through it?
Don't fight the current, just ride the waves. Like sometimes like it feels like the world's against you and like you are trying to battle to, be a version of yourself that you used to be, but like sometimes you just got to go with the flow and just embrace what comes in front of you and just take every opportunity as a blessing and a bonus. Like I didn't think I would be where I'm at now. I never would have been Kadeena 2 Sport had I have not had my diagnosis. So as much as sometimes it can feel like something is the world being against you, you never know where like life is trying to take you. So yeah, just go with the flow, essentially.
Great advice.
Love that. Go with the flow.
So we do a quick fire round, very light-hearted. So just tell us the first thing that pops into your head. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So who was your sporting hero growing up?
Alison Felix,
Lovely. Why?
because she is the GOAT.
That's good enough for us. Other than your own 2 sports, which sport would you have the best chance of winning a medal in?
Oh gosh, I'd love to say. I mean, it's the one that I want to win a medal in, but I don't think I would.
Go on.
So I want to say taekwondo, but my flexibility is lacking.
I thought you were going to say tennis from earlier.
No, we've decided this is not a thing.
So who would be your dream dinner party guest?
Oh, who would be my dream?
I think that's one of the hardest ones, to be honest.
Yeah. Do they have to be like alive?
You know what? We don't really mind.
Do they?
No, I don't think so. We don't make the rules here. Or maybe we do make the rules. You can have whoever you want.
This is just going to be really boring. Just going to go with Ed Sheeran.
That's not boring.
No, I love that.
Were you?
Any particular reason?
Yeah.
Because I think he's amazing. Like, he's an amazing artist. And just after, so Thinking Out Loud came out just after I was diagnosed. And I put a tweet out saying I would love to go and watch him in concert, and someone bought me tickets and sent them to me. That was the first ever concert I've been to. So now I just love him.
Amazing.
That is so nice.
Yeah.
Oh, how wonderful.
That
And
is-
apparently he's really good in concert. I've not seen him. But
He's amazing in concert.
Yeah.
Since then, I've been to see him on every tour. And I've actually met him a few times. Like, he's a cool
humble
guy.
brag. Love it.
That one quiet.
We're actually mates. We text.
Oh, we're mates now, yeah.
And I love that. I love a good story. What's been the best thing that you've bought in the last 12 months?
My Hoover.
I love that.
Mahuba, I love it. What one have you gone for?
I just bought a Dyson bagless one.
They're good,
but
to
I
be fair.
really like it. It's really good.
Love it. Other than social media, what's the most used app on your phone?
Oh, the Bible app.
Okay. Well, we haven't even spoken about religion, but is this something that you're obviously?
Yeah, so my faith is a massive part of who I am. I grew up in a church, so my stepdad's dad had a church, and I go to church with my uncle. Like, he's a bishop. Like, my dad's like a minister, mum's a minister.
Wow.
Like, I grew up in the church. Like, all my family musical though. I'm not.
I was going to say, do you sing as well?
I've got 2 guitars in my house. I'm 100% tone deaf. Cannot sing to save my life. I can hold a tune like every now and again, but it depends on like what song, because I've got quite a low voice.
Nice.
It's great you can have it on your phone though.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
it? That's
it's handy.
pretty
Like,
useful.
I do love like a physical Bible, but like when you're traveling, like
Yeah.
I have got like quite a thick study Bible, so having just the app is great.
What's the thing that you're most proud of?
Oh, what am I most proud of?
It's hard to say just
Go
one
through
thing.
the
You've done
list.
so much.
I know, I'm like, I mean, I've got to be like proud of, essentially I'm proud of showing up for my teammates in Paris. Like, I did not want to get back up and get out there in Paris after coming off my bike. 2 days, 2 kilos of pick and mix, and I got back up there.
I got to say, that moment though, like the courage, you just came back firing, and that was just so obvious. So yeah, a lot of respect for that.
I mean, I definitely cried after, but yeah, courage.
You got through it. Had you not been an athlete, what would you be?
Probably just a physio. I want to be a neurophysio. Still want to be a neurophysio, actually. I really enjoy it. I'm actually studying at the moment to get my qualification back, or like my registration back. So yeah, hopefully I'll be back practicing soon.
I don't understand how you do it all.
Yeah, Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
Neither
absolutely.
do I. Honestly, trying to get back into studying after being out for 5 years is hard work. But yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. So we always ask after every show is this one question, which is, was there a time in your life where you were stronger than you think you were?
Other than anything I've mentioned, I'd definitely say it was the lead up to 2021 Tokyo Games. I basically didn't run for 3 months prior to those games. I basically injured both my Achilles, so I had Achilles tendonitis in both Achilles. Normally just have it in one, so you can kind of hobble and get away with it, but I had it in both, which totally took me out. Every time I tried to run on the track, I started crying, like just because I couldn't do it, like physically was in agony. So I basically spent those 3 months either on the bike or on the Alter G treadmill, which is basically like a treadmill that it takes away like some of your weight, your body weight. So it's you're in like alternate gravity essentially. And I think I probably managed like 2 weeks of training on the track prior to qualifying for the 2021 games. And I essentially did like 2 sessions and then had to try qualify. So did 3 races, one of which I bailed on like halfway through because I didn't think I was going quick enough, which I've never done in my life until that point.
Didn't it turn out you were on for the
I was
right
on track.
time? Yeah.
I was 100% like on track. My coach was like, what on earth was you thinking? I was like, I don't know. So then the next race I did, I went really slow. And I was like, that was not what's supposed to happen. And then basically ran the same time the second time, so another 67, which is 7 seconds off where I needed to be. And luckily, Paula Dunn absolutely loves me, and she selected me for the games. And somehow I managed to get there and run the second quickest time I've ever run. So the only other time I've gone quicker was when I won in Rio and broke the world record. And I came fourth, which was so agonising. It's like the worst place to come. But I was just so proud of myself for being able to pick myself up from not being able to run to running horrendous to somehow running quicker than I'd ran for kind of like the 5 years prior to that.
That's amazing. I feel like fourth is such a tough one as well, isn't it?
Worst place.
Honestly, when you're so close, but like you say, that you have so many good memories about that, and it was such an achievement. I mean, it is an achievement, let's be honest. Coming fourth is absolutely amazing anyway, but it's so close to a medal. It must be, it's like, I don't know, bittersweet moment.
Yeah, it was 100% bittersweet. But honestly, all the girls that were first to third, they were under my old world record. So they'd like obviously totally deserved to be there. And I did more than anyone thought I could. I'd had comments from people who shouldn't be making comments like this, basically saying like, even you like can't do it this time, Kadeena, and like doubting like my abilities. And yeah, then getting comments again saying, oh my God, how do you do it? Like you do this every time. And I'm like, yeah, thanks.
In terms of outside noise, everyone wants to have their say. They've got an opinion on everything. How do you deal with that? Do you manage to block it out? What's your process with things like social media?
Do you know what? Normally I'm quite good at like using it to like give me like a bit of a drive, like, and I thrive off it most of the time. Like even on social media, like some of the comments I get about kind of being fake disabled and stuff, and just like comments about like not needing a wheelchair and like why are you doing this, like you should be in the Paralympics, like you look fine. It's just one of those things that I kind of have to deal with. But in general, like I've just like those kind of comments I use to basically have like viral posts. And that's kind of what I do in my everyday life. Like if like someone like makes a comment like in terms of like my abilities or like what I'm capable of, like I'll be like, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to keep replaying it in my head. And when I cross that finish line and I'm in first place, I'm going to be like, yeah, proved you wrong. And that's kind of the way I deal with things in general. Like I struggle a little bit more with like comments around body image. I've had comments about my weight like over the years, which has kind of dug a hole. Like just comments about kind of needing to look at power to weight, like, you know, go away and lose some weight and get better at this event, and like just loads of comments about my weight. And then, you know, like having comments from like people like, oh, how did you win that medal, like you was really fat then. So yeah, that I've kind of struggled like with those kind of things, and they're the ones that stick a little bit more and that I struggle with. But yeah, anything else, if it comes to like performance or my disability, I can channel it.
That makes me so
yeah,
angry.
I was just thinking that my blood is boiling, even like, yeah.
It's horrible,
some
isn't it, when you're at the top of your game and people are making comments like that and they feel like they have a right to do that. Like, I don't actually know how some people deal with it. Like yourself, I know you touched on your eating disorder. Was that something that like developed with the success that you had, or is that something that you just had when you were younger?
So my auntie was she was a psychiatric nurse in an eating disorder ward, and she said I've probably always had like signs that she'd noticed like previously, or like comments that I'd made like when I was younger, which I didn't think anything of. But like, yeah, kind of since getting my diagnosis, like I gained loads of weight really quickly. I think I gained like 3 or 4 stone like in like 2 months. Post-diagnosis, just because I was on steroids, I was at home, mum was feeding me. So I gained weight really quickly, and it was kind of that loss of like who I was. So I struggled with that kind of element of things. And then, yeah, when you get into performance and then, yeah, like being told like to, you know, lose weight to be better at sport, like I then kind of, unfortunately, then just those comments then made me think, well, like the only reason way I can be the best at what I do is by, you know, being very small. And even when I am small, I still can't see it because I now struggle with body dysmorphia. So yeah, it's been an unfortunate cycle of kind of, yeah, comments from other people and I guess things that are already going on in my head.
Do you have ways of dealing with that in your day-to-day life now?
Yeah, so I have a very expensive psychiatrist. So yeah, I have my psychiatrist and my nutritionist, and then yeah, just like ways in which like kind of I've learned to deal with things. Just kind of, yeah, the people I kind of keep myself around, like I have like a wall with like things that I kind of want to keep, like the positive things that I say to myself, and yeah, just like I want to say I'm the meal prepping queen, but sometimes I totally forget to meal prep, and then I'm just like, oh, like, and then I'm just like stuck, because when I don't meal prep, I find it really hard to stay on track with eating. But yeah, it gets hard. Like my auntie who I mentioned, she was like my main point of support, and then she passed away last year, so that's kind of made things all a little bit harder. But yeah, it's an eating disorder, something you don't ever really get over, you just learn to deal with it.
Yeah, it's all about discipline, I guess. Like you say with the meal prepping, it's about reminding yourself to try and stay on track with stuff like that. I can't even imagine how difficult it is to then have to do that and train and try and look after yourself. You've got a good support network though around you, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've got an amazing support network, and I'm quite lucky, and as athletes we are relatively lucky in that respect, because I know there's quite a lot of people that don't have the same level of support and can't access it, who do struggle with things. I've had, you know, people message me, but I also know it's really common in sport for people to struggle with disordered eating or eating disorders. Like it's way more common than you realise, and it's just the pressure to be the best. Like there's a fine line. I think probably every kind of athlete or sports person has some kind of disordered eating just because of the way we've got to be. But there's a fine line between kind of that control and, you know, just crossing over into other things that, yeah, you think are normal but just really aren't.
Yeah, I think it's definitely quite a taboo subject, especially like even in the rugby space. Nearly everyone I speak to, I've had experiences and stuff. I think it's just no one talks about it. So it's actually a big respect to you for being so open about it, and like you never know who's listening and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate
that's kind of why I started speaking about it, because I just felt like it. The more you don't speak about it, the more it becomes like something secretive, and it's why it took me a long while to seek support, because you keep it a secret, and you become very good at hiding it. But if it becomes a thing that everyone's talking about, you don't feel like you're as alone, and you feel like there's people you can speak to, then you will reach out, because a lot of people I didn't expect, or people you wouldn't expect, reached out to me when I first opened up about it, and that's why I keep talking, just to help even one person.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming and seeing us today and talking to us all about it. And I feel like people are going to love hearing your story in a bit more detail today. I've really appreciated you coming on.
Oh, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Look, and thank you guys for listening and watching along. It's been brilliant talking to Kadeena. We're wishing you all the very best for the future, for the World Championships, for LA 28. Do make sure to head to Rugby Pass TV and catch up with all the latest episodes of Stronger Than You Think. But from all of us here, thank you for watching, listening, and we'll see you back here very soon.